Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some pretty intense material you shared this time. Hochheim's Close Quarter Combatives Group Training Mission 1.
Yeah, it's definitely not light reading. It's foundational stuff for a whole self-defense system.
Right, it covers the whole spectrum: unarmed, knife, impact weapons, guns. Our mission today, basically, is to sift through this first part and pull out the key, actionable insights.
Stuff that's useful for anyone interested in self-defense, regardless of their background.
Exactly. Whether you're seasoned or just starting to think about this stuff.
And this document is just the first step in what Hochheim lays out as a 10-level program.
10 levels, wow. Across 4 main areas, right. Unarmed, knife, stick, and gun stuff.
Precisely. Unarmed, knife counter knife, the SDMS Impact Weapon system, and gun counter gun. And his background is pretty extensive: military, law enforcement, tons of martial arts.
You can tell, so we're definitely drawing from a deep well here.
Absolutely. Practical, field-tested knowledge.
Okay, let's get into it. What jumped out at me right away was his core idea, what he calls his epiphany.
Yeah. That's fundamental to his whole approach.
It's not about fancy moves or tradition, is it?
Yeah.
It's just, how do you effectively stop a threat?
Exactly. Whether that threat is an enemy soldier or a criminal on the street, using whatever force is necessary, less lethal. Lethal.
And he's trying to bridge the gap, between different groups.
Yeah.
Military, cops, martial artists, even just regular folks wanting to be safer.
Right. It's less about mastering one specific style and more about a practical, adaptable toolkit for handling threats in different situations.
That seems like a really important distinction, actually, if you're trying to figure out what kind of self-defense makes sense for you.
Definitely. And the way he structures the training is very modular. It's effective.
How so?
Well, even in this first mission, each technique, each module follows a pattern. You start with the basics, how to do the move.
Okay.
Then you look at counters, how someone might stop you. Then drills to build proficiency.
Makes sense.
And finally, applying it in realistic scenarios, standing, kneeling, on the ground, even against different weapons. It's very systematic.
Right, building competence step by step. Okay, so for this deep dive, based on what you sent over, we're focusing mainly on the unarmed parts of this mission 1, and also those quick draw techniques, which seem, well, pretty crucial across the board.
Absolutely critical. Accessing your tools quickly is paramount.
So the aim is to give listeners useful info right away without getting totally bogged down in all 10 levels yet. That sound right?
Perfect. Let's start with the unarmed stuff, then. First up is the finger strike module.
Finger strikes. Okay. Seems simple, but he calls the finger-to-eye strike the, the bread and butter survival tool?
Yeah, he really highlights it, sees it as fundamental, especially for, stopping an assault or dealing with someone dangerous up close.
Okay, and this is where it got really interesting for me. The psychological side.
The empathy factor.
Yeah, that natural hesitation to, really hurt someone.
Yeah.
He talks about empathy being an inhibition in combat.
He does. He even mentions some pretty old-school direct training methods.
Yeah.
Using grapefruits to simulate eye gouging in some military contexts, pre-PC days.
Wow. Intense. But his point is that overcoming that hesitation might be what saves your life in a really bad situation.
Exactly. That ability to switch gears mentally, to compartmentalize that empathy when facing extreme danger.
It's a heavy concept. Does he talk about, the risk of becoming desensitized? Or how to manage that?
That's a fair question. He doesn't really frame it as losing empathy altogether. It's more about managing it, recognizing an immediate severe threat and acting decisively in that moment for survival, setting the inhibition aside when necessary.
Okay, so it's situational control, not eliminating empathy.
Right.
Got it. So the actual technique.
Yeah.
He breaks it down.
Yeah.
3 finger positions.
The rake fingers spread, slightly curved.
Okay.
The spear fingers together, slightly bent, thumb tucked in.
Right.
And the thumb gouge. And then 3 ways to attack: hooking, thrusting, and ripping.
And the details matter, right? Like bending the fingers slightly in the spear.
That's crucial. That slight bend protects your own fingers from sprains or breaks on impact. And tucking the thumb stops it getting snagged. It's not just random poking, it's deliberate technique.
Maximize effect, minimize risk to yourself. Makes sense. Then he moves into synergy drills.
Yeah, these aren't just static practice.
Right. He describes solo drills using a clock face for angles, practicing raking, thrusting, high-low sides.
And that fishhook finger grab.
Yeah, the cheek grab for control. That sounds pretty brutal. Is that common in self-defense?
It's definitely on the more severe end. Hochheim's system is very direct, focused on high-impact survival stuff, so it fits his methodology, not necessarily in every basic course.
Okay. And he stresses practicing both hands, different positions, standing, kneeling, ground.
Because fights aren't predictable. You won't always be standing perfectly balanced.
Exactly. And partner drills, too. Focus mitts, and then those dynamic ones, the statue drill and pumping grill.
Right, where the trainer adds movement, resistance, makes it more real time.
So these different ways to attack the eyes. How do you actually train to use them effectively when things are chaotic? That's the point of the synergy drills, yeah.
Precisely. They bridge that gap between knowing the technique and actually being able to pull it off under pressure, building coordination, timing, instinct.
And then there's that block, pass, and pin drill. Sounds like a core coordination thing.
It is. And he mentions adding weapons into it later, too. Plus, clinch drills, ground fighting drills, specifically for finding eye attack opportunities in grappling.
So it's all interconnected, not just standalone moves. It seems like that synergy drill idea keeps popping up in finger strikes, the kick module. I'm guessing weapons too. Is that intentional?
Oh, absolutely. Synergy is key to his whole philosophy. Flowing between techniques, making it all work together as one adaptable skill set, not just isolated tricks.
Okay. And the review section for the finger strikes really hammers home practicing all the variations on those drills.
And using problem-based scenarios, both attacking and defending, to really internalize it and build that decision-making under pressure.
It's not enough just to know how, you need to know when and why.
Exactly, in a dynamic, unpredictable fight.
Okay, moving on. Next unarmed module. The frontal snapping kick, the FSK.
Right. Might seem basic, but he focuses its use for close quarters, especially against someone not in a fighter's stance.
And the striking surfaces, tip or top of the shoe or the shin.
And what's interesting is his take on chambering, pulling the knee way back first.
Yeah.
Many martial arts emphasize that full retraction. Hochheim questions if that slight power boost is worth the extra time it takes. He's more about efficiency, finding the quickest way to get maximum effect with minimal telegraphing. Very practical.
That fits his overall theme. Okay, synergy drills for the kick too.
Yep. The shuffle lead foot delivery, keeping weight back for quick snaps, even kicking from the ground.
And counters, lots of counters. Evading, kicking their kick.
Swallowing it by moving in, catching it, or just mentally bracing for the impact, preparing to deal with the pain.
Partner drills too, moving beyond pads.
Yeah, into sparring. He mentions Thailand-style higging sets and a combat-modified FSK, kicking around their leg to off-balance them. And those grounded kicking drills again back. Sides reinforcing that you need to fight from anywhere.
But the option awareness combat scenarios for the kick, that's where it gets really practical.
That's right. He lays out common attacks, being choked, someone rushing you when you're down, having your kick caught.
And then gives specific responses using the FSK, often followed up with those finger strikes we talked about.
Exactly. Kick the choker, kick the encroacher from the ground. They show how this simple kick becomes a vital tool under stress. And scenarios like vice grip the kicker or knock knee the kick explore the defensive side.
Using the kick as a counter.
Right. And some counters get really involved, leg wraps, takedowns using their momentum, follow-up hammer fist, elbows, diving takedowns.
It's not just the kick, it's the whole tactical sequence. The review section highlights practicing the variations and that give-and-take drill evasion, countering.
And again, the assignment. Practice the scenarios from different positions, standing, ground. Develop that real-time offensive and defensive problem solving.
Okay, next up, invading hands 1, the outside arm or the backhand contact strike. Invading hands. Sounds interesting.
It is. Basically, it's using your arms to bridge the distance, clearing a path to vital targets, face, neck, groin.
So getting their arms out of the way?
That's the core idea. Pinning, passing, pulling, pushing their arms aside. But he stresses it's a quick transitional thing. That brief moment you're moving through their defenses to land something solid, keep moving.
Don't get stuck in an arm wrestling match.
Exactly. He identifies the common obstacles, their lead arm, their other arm, the lead arm coming back.
And he makes a practical point if you try a couple of times to clear their arms and you're still tangled up.
Maybe switch tactics? Kick their knee, create an opening another way?
Yeah.
Be efficient.
Makes sense. And the strikes here are more about creating openings.
Right. Powerful palm strikes, hammer fists, forearms to blast through their guard, setting up the eye jabs, other palm strikes, elbows, body rams, maybe even kicks.
And he connects this back to the finger strike drills.
Yeah, he points out that the setup for a finger strike often is this kind of invasion, clearing their arm first. So the drills are similar, statue, pumping, block, pass, and pin, but now the focus is on that initial hand contact, clearing the way.
Ah, so the same drills build multiple skills depending on the focus. Clever.
It shows how interconnected it all is. Not separate moves, but a flowing system.
The review section recommends practicing this against simulated arms in those drills, in scenarios, different positions. And he mentions using hand weights.
Yeah, for goal-specific strength for those hand strikes. And notes they could even be, like, improvised self-defense tools themselves in some cases, legal ones.
Interesting point. Okay, final unarmed module in Mission 1. Unarmed Combatives Takedown 1, the finger takedowns module.
Building directly on the finger strikes, now using finger cranks and breaks for takedowns and escapes.
Not just pain, but control and leverage. But usually after a stun.
Right.
Yeah.
Crucial point. He emphasizes you're not just going to grab someone's finger while they're wailing on you full force. The opportunity usually comes after you've stunned them or disrupted their attack, often when they've grabbed you.
Based on his LE and martial arts experience, people react strongly to finger manipulation.
Very strongly. Immediate negative reaction. Pain, shock, distraction.
And he gets into the mechanics, how fingers bend, thumb movement.
Yep. 5 directions for fingers, 4 for the thumb, even a simple squeeze for pain. And cranking 2 or 3 fingers together is often optimal.
He mentions using them for handcuffing compliance, too. That's for a later mission, though.
Right, but it shows the broader application. The synergy drills, again, use block, pass, and pin to practice getting those finger snatches and cranks, and the figure attack ground roll drill.
Specifically for escaping ground situations when your opponent grabs you, seizing the opportunity.
Exactly. The combat scenarios cover common grabs, single arm, double, rear bear hug, double hand choke.
And the techniques often involve a stun first, then the finger crank for control or takedown. He even mentions countering a pistol threat by attacking the fingers.
Briefly, yeah. A very specific aggressive counter. Needs precise timing and commitment, obviously.
And importantly, he covers counters to finger cranks too.
3 phases, early, mid, late. General tactics like explosive retraction, striking back, kicking, going limp, going to ground proactively.
Hybrid solutions, pain tolerance, and specific counters to the cranks themselves.
Like yanking your hand back hard while slapping their gripping hand away. Things like that.
So the core concept is stun, grab fingers when you get a chance, crank or break if needed for escape or takedown.
That's the essence of it.
And the review stresses practicing the drills for cranks, the scenarios, offensive, defensive, counter pistol, and also practicing how to counter these takedowns yourself.
Right, you need to know both sides.
Yeah.
So yeah, that unarmed section lays a pretty solid foundation mindset. Core strikes, kicks, control, takedowns.
Okay, comprehensive stuff. Let's switch gears to the weapon quick draws. He starts with a great analogy. Driving a car.
Yeah, knowing the basics is just the start. Real-world driving is chaotic.
And he applies that to firearms. The million layers of real-world complexity, stress, distractions.
And the biggest thing, often missed in training, he argues. In real gunfights, bullets are being exchanged. People are shooting back at you.
That constant reminder, it's sobering. He says it's only under that stress or realistic simulation that you truly get how fast you can get hit while you're trying to shoot.
Exactly. He uses a paintball scenario example, ground fighting, exchanging fire, to show the huge difference from static range practice.
Then he dives into carry conditions, double action, single action, round chambered or not, safety on off.
All affecting the draw. He argues strongly for carrying ready to fire, basically. Points out the risks of needing to chamber a round under extreme stress.
For someone new to this, could you quickly explain double action versus single action in terms of drawing under pressure?
Sure. Simply put, single action usually needs the hammer cocked manually before the trigger fires it. Double action lets you just pull the trigger, and that one pull does both cocks and fires.
So single action adds an extra step.
Which could be critical time lost in a high-stress draw.
Gotcha. He also covers carry sites, primary, secondary, backup spots, and holsters.
The holster continuum. From fast race holsters to secure retention holsters, there's a trade-off. Speed versus security.
And retention holsters, while important, can slow the draw, especially from awkward positions.
Which is why he stresses practicing draws from everywhere. Standing, seated, kneeling, on the ground.
Absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
He talks about the steps of a quick draw. Could you maybe touch on why each step is important?
Good point. Okay, so 1, grip gets solid control before it leaves the holster, prevents fumbling.
Right.
2, forearm alignment helps bring it up smoothly towards the target. Efficient movement.
Okay.
3, disengage safety chamber if needed. Got to be deliberate, efficient, no hesitation.
Makes sense.
4, clean trigger pull, crucial for accuracy, even fast. Jerking ruins the shot.
And finally,
5, deliver shots in move EE. Get to cover or concealment immediately. That's survival.
Okay, that clarifies the why. Then he hits to draw or not to draw.
Yeah, just presenting the weapon can be a deterrent. Command presence.
Yeah.
But he warns, don't rely solely on the gun.
Still need those unarmed skills for really close stuff where drawing might be impossible at first.
Exactly. And then the pistol gunfight rules of 3.
Right. Most last 3 seconds involve over 3 rounds, happen within 3 yards.
So training has to focus on that close quarters reality. Fast, effective engagement up close.
He outlines those 5 draw steps. Again, grip, align, disengage, hammer, trigger, pull, deliver, move. Smoothness first, then speed.
And warns that changing clothes, holster, even the gun itself can mess up your draw. Needs practice.
And warns against the panic hand, that clumsy 2-handed grab for the holster.
Yeah, use the non-dominant hand to clear clothes, clear the path.
His quick draw overview really drives home practicing in all conditions. Standing, kneeling, ground, moving, vehicles.
Front, sides, behind, low light. The whole 9 yards. He mentions stances too. No single gunfighting stance. Combat is balance in motion. Stationary stances are just training tools.
And ground shooting warns against the sideways position, big target. Prefers the roll and shoot.
Acknowledges drawing from a car is tough. Seatbelts, tight space. Mentions there are methods though.
And he pushes back against that only draw if you're going to shoot idea.
Right. Presentation and command presence have value. De-escalation potential.
Then clarifies point shooting versus sighted aim.
Instinctive point shooting for close range, sighted aim for distance. Most real incidents are close quarters, so point shooting is often key.
And finally, the big exchange. You're shooting, they're shooting back, maybe multiple opponents.
Cites FBI stats, criminal hit ratios versus officer ratios, criminal reliance on instinct shooting, though modern military shooting skills are improving.
Sobering stuff. Okay, pistol, quick draw, synergy drills.
Starts with 2 hand space awareness drill. Partners facing off to feel out that safe distance for a 2-hand draw.
Then the space, stress, and speed awareness drills with simulated ammo. They sound intense.
Designed to show you just how fast you can get shot while drawing. Really valuable, that stress inoculation.
Ground to quick draw drills and integrating the draw into the block, pass, and pin drill.
Yeah, adapting it for different draws, dealing with interference, starting with weapon out, reholstering, ground positions.
The stove-touching hot drill trainer taps the holster to build speed.
Rapid repetition based on touch. And the drop and draw, drop something while drawing, simulates real-world distractions like a traffic stop.
Practical. Then the option awareness combat scenarios. The interview stance.
Preparing for that sudden shift from conversation to violence. Mental and physical readiness. Using the drop and draw.
And countering the close quarter pistol threat, gun to your neck scenario.
Creating space, drawing under duress, plus that warning about semi-autos potentially not firing if pressed hard against someone.
Important detail. The summary really hits home. Effective training needs the stress of return fire. Simulated ammo is invaluable.
Absolutely. Then he shifts to long gun quick draws, ambushes needing instant combat mode.
2 types. Lunging for a nearby weapon or drawing from a carry position, usually a sling.
Focuses on single-strap shoulder slings. Explains stand-down carries for non-shooting situations.
Details the Aussie Cross carry quick draw. Sling overhead, weapon on weak side, steps to draw and fire.
And the combat resling, how to secure the long gun quickly after firing to free hands, but keep it ready. Specific moves involved.
Summary. Practice these. Modify for your body, gear, mission. Then, advanced multi-weapon quick draws transitions.
Shares his own experience carrying rifle and pistol in Korea, or as a cop with shotgun and sidearm, but no real training on using both together.
Lists reasons to switch from long gun to pistol, need less more power, out of ammo, malfunction, tight spaces, disarm attempt.
Presents 2 transition scenarios. First, alert, maybe searching with pistol. Need to bring up long gun for bigger threat.
Describes holstering pistol while raising long gun harder under stress than it looks without training and good gear.
Second scenario. Sudden heavy fire, no time to holster pistol properly, tucking it in the armpit to get the long gun up fast. Clumsy, risky, but maybe necessary.
Weapon transition summary. Slings, vest clips, lanyards are critical. Smoothness first, then speed. Dry fire, live fire, ideally simulated return fire.
And provides that list of pistol drills and scenarios for ongoing practice.
Okay, next section. Knife Counter, Knife Combatives 1, Introduction to Knife Combatives module.
Starts by saying knife fighting needs broad study, outlines his course, differentiates fixed blades versus folders, utility versus tactical.
3 carry sites again. Primary, quick draw, secondary backup, tertiary, lunge and reach. And that key advice, watch the hands.
Target profile, enemy soldiers, criminals, use of force, Lethal, less than lethal based on morals, ethics, law.
4 knife tools. Tip, edge, pommel, flat. 3 counters to blocks, cut, redirect, invade, trap.
4 basic invading trapping hands. Pin, pass, pull, push. 5 obstacles. Opponent's condition, blocking arms, sudden movement, clothing, adrenaline.
And stresses needing unarmed skills, striking, blocking, kicking, takedowns, groundwork to support knife use.
Mentions angles of attack drills, lists his 9 knife combat modules, then knife quick draw studies and observations.
Details how to open a folder silently, and repeats the Barney and the 2 jacks analogy for knives presentation, bluff, command presence matter.
Knife quick draw synergy drills. Solo practice, learn your knife. The 12-angle knife quick draw assault drill. Draw and attack all angles, various positions, grips, resheath close each time.
Techniques for faster opening, partial open using slash momentum, opening behind the leg in close quarters.
Cue drills, focus mitt drills. The 2-hand space awareness drill adapted for knives gauging distance, blading the body.
Basic standoff quick draw, partners drawing on each other. CQC flow drill, integrating knife draws into block, pass, and pin against various attacks.
And the ground roll knife rattlesnake drill, drawing and attacking from the ground. Trainer resists, using the tip for less lethal threat. Knee-thigh strikes for balance.
Knife quick draw option awareness combat scenarios. The interview stance, again, push strike, block draw, noting need for shield time, footwork.
Countering a rear choke stab attacker's leg on choking arm side, then throat bash. Warns against stabbing towards yourself.
Using a folder in a handgun retention fight, banging arms away, maybe throat strike if needed.
And the ground quick draw knifer on top, push, create space, splay out, counterattack, review lists, positions, drills, scenarios to practice.
Okay, almost there. Last weapon. Introduction to SDMS, the Impact Weapon Quick Draw Module.
SDMS single and double-handed tactical impact weapon system. Adaptable, inspired by Spanish-Filipino arts.
Examples: sticks, canes, batons, flashlights, umbrellas, even rifle shotguns, bayonets in context.
Sources: military, LE, security, Pacific Island arts, hybrids. DMS relates to rifle bayonet techniques.
SDMS studies and observations. Selecting your weapon mission needs, appropriate force. Flashlight versus baton versus gun.
Impact weapon grips. SMS, saber, reverse, center. DMS, sword bat, stick palms down, rifle up down. Hybrids.
Quick draw mechanics. Drawing fixed weapons, drawing opening expandable batons, 1 or 2 hands.
Understanding public perception. Legal, moral, ethical factors. Anticipating aftermath. Suggests verbal commands like stop, don't make me hurt you.
Pre-fight and ready positions. Command presence, FBI studies on victim assessment, various stances, concealed, port arms, parade rest, mentions TUNVA limitations, emphasizes balance, mobility in conflict positions, stick forward, neutral back, knee high ground, stresses knee high ground tactics, stick as companion to knife.
Impact weapon, quick draw synergy drills. Speed, space, stress drills like the others. Ground quick draws, drawing horizontally.
Ground roll impact weapon quick draw drill, draw strike from ground, note space needed for expandable batons. Close baton as palm stick tactics later.
Block, pass, and pin drill adapted again. Walking, running quick draws on cue, advancing to combat scenarios.
Impact weapon QD combat scenarios. Interview stance sets again command presence or strike vital target. Countering a punch by striking the fist hard. Using stick versus a choker.
Then he briefly touches on SDMS testing for level 1. Written test, demonstrating scenarios, eye attacks, kicks, finger cranks, quick draws.
And includes sample written test questions fill in the blank, true-false covering everything from finger attacks, training tools, body positions, ground fighting, finger cranks, weapon integration, ethics, gun grabs, joint cranks, kick targets, stress, cover, holster, slings, transitions, draw reasons, carry sights, enemy types, impact weapon stances, baton legality, learning methods, grips, stats. Wow. Comprehensive.
It really covers a lot in just the first mission. So for you, our listener, wrapping this up, what are the big takeaways from this deep dive into Training Mission 1?
Yeah, looking back, a few core things really stand out. First, the mindset piece. That ability to overcome hesitation, act decisively, that seems paramount. Second, mastering those fundamental techniques, finger strikes, front kicks, but really understanding the details and how to apply them everywhere.
Not just going through the motions.
Right. Third, that invading hands concept, actively clearing the path to get to your target. It's not passive defense.
A proactive bridge.
Fourth, using finger cranks for control and takedowns, not just pain, a practical tool after you've created an opening.
Leverage and control, yeah.
And finally, the quick draw stuff. Developing speed and efficiency across different weapons, but always always remembering the stress of real combat, the fact that someone's likely shooting back.
That reality check is crucial. Excellent summary.
Okay.
It hits all the key points from this mission.
So as you listen, maybe reflect on these ideas. How might they apply to your own awareness, your own preparedness? If this sparked something, maybe look deeper into the CTCG system or find other solid self-defense training that fits you.
Definitely worth considering if you found this valuable.
And here's a final thought to chew on. In the messy reality of self-defense, how do we find that balance? The balance between technical skill, the mental toughness to actually use it under pressure, and remembering the ethical lines we have to navigate.
That's the deeper question, isn't it? Beyond just the techniques, it's about the responsible application of potentially life-altering skills, something Hochheim's practical focus implicitly asks us to consider.